Welcome back, Patriots, to the Albert Plan YouTube channel. I'm Dan Albert, and I'd like to share a few thoughts today about the current state of the 2020 election. I have a playlist entitled The Albert Plan to Restore Election Integrity, and I write about restoring election integrity in my book, The Albert Plan to Save America 2020 edition. And I also introduced a chapter in this edition that basically identifies the Democrat Party as the party of division, destruction, and death. And I've asserted that they become masters of election fraud, election rigging, election manipulation. It's all one big bag of tricks. And there are so many things on display in the last week or so that give evidence to support this assertion of mine that the Democrat Party is about 95% concentrated on buying and selling and manipulating votes, committing election fraud. And just last week we had the Hunter Biden hard drive computer was discovered, and there are three important things that come from that story. The first is whether this is a true set of circumstances, set of facts that have been presented where this hard drive exists with thousands and thousands of pictures and emails that implicate Hunter Biden and his dad and his uncles and the whole Biden family. And, those facts will come out in due time. Some of them are coming out day by day. What's interesting is that the FBI was allegedly in possession of this hard drive as early as December of 2019. And during the impeachment proceedings, that evidence would have been very impactful on the whole process. In fact, it would have made Bernie Sanders the Democrat nominee instead of Joe Biden if all of this had come out and it was found to be true. So those are two important things that come from this revelation of this hard drive. And then there's the response of big tech. Twitter and Facebook are doing somersaults to try to stay ahead of this story and to squelch any promulgation of the story. They're trying to stop the dissemination of this story. And the New York Post published the story last week, and right away they were censored. And in fact, I think their Twitter account was shut down, that kind of thing. And anybody that retweeted there's a big developing story on this big tech censorship that's going on. In fact, some of our senators on the Judiciary Committee are planning on subpoenaing Jack Dorsey and who knows who else to chase this story down. So all of these implications relate to the buying or selling of votes, influence, peddling influence, election interference, and election meddling, and the efforts of big tech to try to sway the election in favor of their preferred candidate, which is almost always the Democrat. So it's rather astounding to see all of this unfold as the time progresses. And last week we also had the confirmation hearings for Amy Coney Barrett, and we saw the Democrats weren't too interested in fleshing out the views, the judicial philosophy, and the way that Amy Coney Barrett approaches the law. Because they don't believe in the Constitution as written. They believe in a living Constitution, that they can have activist judges modify the words of the Constitution to fit the Democrat agenda. So that's what they're all about. So they really weren't interested in getting to know the merits of the nominee. They just really wanted to attack, particularly in this election season. You could see them making a play to influence voters in these senatorial elections with all the senators that are up for re-election. In particular, they were attacking senators like Lindsey Graham on the Affordable Care Act is just going to leave millions of people without pre-existing conditions, that kind of thing. So their electioneering was on full display last week, and trying to influence persuadable Republican senators to vote against the nominee, trying to influence voters in the various districts. In fact, Lindsey Graham is up against a nominee that the Democrat nominee for Senate in the state of South Carolina and he talks like a genteel Republican gentleman, a conservative. He really, the ads are just ludicrous that they're putting out because this guy's going to be lockstep with the Democrats in power. He's not going to speak for truth or do anything that's contrary to the Democrat agenda. Nancy Pelosi was his mentor, and I forget who else was mentioned, maybe Hillary Clinton. But so they're all out there. They're pulling out all the big guns to try to sway the election and to influence. And the whole Biden arrangement was about peddling influence. It appears, it needs to be proven. But how does Hunter Biden go out and get the $1.5 billion or more in investment funds and all the millions of dollars that he got? How would he do that unless he was not the vice president's son? It's clear to me as an observer that there was influence peddling going on. And if China owns Joe Biden and the Biden family, then there's so much opportunity for taking our country further down the road that transfers our national sovereignty to the United Nations and to China, and to basically, we've been sold out. The United States has been sold out to the Chinese. So we're in a hot election season. There are so many shenanigans going on right now, and the potential for election fraud is there, but there's also manipulation of the election that's going on with big tech, with social media companies, with Google. They say could sway the vote by 10%, and there's an urgency here to restore election integrity, and then to move the pot of gold away from the federal government, to restore federalism and to reduce the power and influence and control that the federal government has over our lives, so that there'll be less reward for those that fight for the power and influence that they want to get to the top of the heap, so they can dole it out to themselves, their friends, and meanwhile our nation's being sold down the river by big tech and the Democrat Party. And it used to be that corporate America, what was good for General Motors was good for America, but that's no longer the case. We have companies that are eager to work for and assist China in their development of their military capabilities, for example, but they refuse to assist the United States in doing the same. So we really have a crisis on our hands, and it's not going to be an easy path to resolving these problems, but the solutions that I propose in the Albert Plan are simple. They're not easy, but they're simple solutions. And it starts with restoring election integrity, and then the real big thing as far as action goes is that we, the people in sufficient numbers, need to get behind a bold, comprehensive, transformational plan that I've written, or one of similar magnitude and direction, so that we can move as one, speak as one, and we can affect the change that we need. So in this series of videos, I'll be speaking to a whole host of topics and action areas of action that we can enter into as American patriots. And we need to peacefully rise up and take our country back before the left forces a full compliance to their radical agenda, or they initiate a hot civil war. We're really on the brink of destruction, that our republic is that close to being destroyed by those that are the enemies, domestic and foreign, are trying to destroy our country. So we can resist these changes, but it's going to take an all-out effort by millions and millions of patriots. The freedom cells I advocate for would be organized with Minutemen, Patriots, Sons of Liberty, and Founding Fathers. That would, Minutemen are responsive at ground level, grassroots. Patriots are self-identifying Minutemen that show leadership, that self-identify as leaders in their precinct or county, and then Sons of Liberty would be at the county or state level, and Founding Fathers would show leadership at the state and national level. We can get organized and we can move as one and speak as one, but we have to get on the same page, and that's why I published the plan. It's a bold, comprehensive, transformational plan for we the people to restore federalism, to restore national sovereignty, to restore individual liberty, to restore limited government, and to unleash free market capitalism like we haven't seen in this country. Technology is going to enslave us or liberate us. We'll have tyranny or liberty. So we have to wake up, we have to organize our like-minded fellow Americans and take our country back. We the people can do it. We need to reinstill the fear, the proper fear of the government, that the government have the proper fear of the people. For if the government fears the people, there's liberty, and if liberty is squashed out, we'll have tyranny. People will fear the government, we'll have tyranny, and the light of liberty will be snuffed out. So join with me, and if you like these videos, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you'll be notified when I publish new videos, and share this and join or organize Freedom Cells, and let's get moving, folks. We can do this. Take care and God bless, and may God bless your efforts in the liberty movement.